Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first pay-per-view of our TNA Retro podcast. It is No Surrender 2005, took place on July 17th, 2005, obviously emanating from Stage 21 at Universal Studios in Florida, or as we all know it, the Impact Zone. I'm joined for the final time over the next few weeks, and it is Rhys.
Yeah, I've had a great time in this time machine. Lovely time 15 years back watching all this retro Impact. But yeah, as my taping loop is coming to an end, so I'm glad we get to watch this pay-per-view to do that.
Yeah, it's great. It is a very, very good show. Basically, I don't know if I have explained it before. I've probably forgotten. What we're going to do is, the way we do it is we will do Impacts until the pay-per-view, and then we'll change co-hosts. So it'll be me and someone else next week, and then that will go on to the next pay-per-view, and it will swap around. So you'll probably see Rhys's face at some point again. Just might not be for the next 3 or 4 months, possibly. I'm not too sure. Before we do get into all of the action of the No Surrender pay-per-view, please listen to what I have to say. It's a public service announcement, and that is, go onto the Google and Apple Play Store and go download the app for We Love Sport. It is a fantastic app that you can go and watch wrestling in a bar now, because bars are back open, and I'm sure We Love Sport are going to start getting everything back to normal. They don't just do wrestling, they do football, rugby, golf, cricket, any sport you think of. They're going to be having it on their app, and it will show you where you can go near to where you live. There's 300 bars and pubs on that app. So do head over and download it. Head over to Twitter. Follow them on Twitter at We Love Sport UK. Go to their website, welovesport.co. Additionally, our other sponsor, we've got ourselves 1310 Apparel. I'm sure you've seen me many times repping the multiple things I've bought from them already. But go over to their website, 1310apparel.bigcartel.com. Use the code TWM25 for 25% off your order. And head over to Twitter and follow them on 1310 Apparel as well. Now, a bunch of great guys and some really, really good merchandise. So I highly recommend going and doing so. First match on the card for No Surrender was a pre-show match, which I didn't actually think pre-show matches would exist at this point, but it was the Shocker defeating Gerald Clark. I have no idea who Gerald Clark is.
Well, I didn't see that, I guess.
No, I found it online.
That's the main card, so I didn't even know there was.
I found it online. I have no idea where this was telegraphed, programmed. It might not have even been live. It might have just been a dark match. No one had actually seen it unless you were in the crowd. Because I know at this point, like, where sometimes we'd get like dark matches in Impact and it would go on Explosion, but I know Explosion wasn't a thing in 2005. So
yeah, Explosion was like a web show, but at this point, all of Impact is broadcast on the internet anyway.
Yeah.
It might have just been something to warm the crowd up. Because all of these shows are broadcast from Universal Studios, so
yes,
the crowd are just people who were in the theme park that day.
Yeah, there is actually, I saw a thing in last week's episode on the bottom. It was like, go through this gate and you can get in for free. And I'm like, hold on, what? So you can just, you'll be in Universal Studios and you can just wander in for free and go watch some wrestling.
Yeah, you know, Mike from the wrestling movement, he's been.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's mad. That is mad. I'm surprised. I reckon Zach Ryder used to go quite a lot. Matt Cardona is. He's obviously now known after his release. He is always in Universal Studios, so I'm sure he went at some point when he was a bit younger. Maybe Cody Rhodes did as well, because they're always there together. The first match we have on the main show is America's Most Wanted going up against Michael Shane and Alex Shelley, accompanied by Tracy Brooks, who, if I am correct by remembering that name, is that Bobby Roode's wife.
2 hours later.
No, she's married. She was married to Frankie Kazarian, so I knew she was married to a wrestler, but she's married to Frankie Kazarian. Partway through the match, she is constantly getting involved. So the best way to neutralize someone is to handcuff them to the turnbuckle, which is what James Storm did. He handcuffed her to the turnbuckle to stop her getting involved. America's Most Wanted did pick up the win, but post-match, Michael Shane super kicks James Storm and runs away.
This was the battle of the super kicks, really. I guess James Storm's super kick against Michael Shane's. Can we call it the Sweet Chin Music, or
possibly? I don't know.
Michael Shane, right? You know who he related to?
Yeah, he's the cousin of Shawn Michaels, isn't he?
Yeah, if you take his name and put it backwards.
Shane Michael, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a nice homage. But there is a development with that in the future, which I'm possibly sure you guys are aware of. We get a backstage interview of Team Canada, who are speaking about Lance Hoyt and about Christopher Daniels. Obviously, we've got the 6-man tag of Hoyt and the Naturals against 3 members of Team Canada, and then Petey Williams going up against Christopher Daniels. Jeff Jarrett interrupts. Shock. When is he not involved? And he basically says, "Are you with me or are you against me?" Team Canada says, "I am with you."
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett spends this whole pay-per-view just going around like scaremongering. I think at the end of the last match, actually, Jarrett came out and kicked off Mike Tenay as well and started scaremongering him, saying that Rhino was somewhere and he should watch out for him.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett in 2005 was everywhere. We get a Super X qualifier match. Obviously, the Super X Cup was a brilliant thing back in early TNA, where it was a tournament and the winner got to go against the X Division champion. And this match was a banger. It was Sanjay Dart versus Shark Boy versus Ian Skipper versus Monty Bates. And it was fast-paced. There was 4 men of the X Division just flying left, right, and centre.
Yeah, it's like throwback to what Impact or what TNA used to always do at the start of these shows, like have a multi-man X Division match to kick it off, like get the crowd going. I know obviously this wasn't the first match, but yeah, just would have definitely got the crowd pumped for the matches that followed.
Absolutely. Sanjay Dart did come out on with the win and would advance to the first round of the Super X Cup, which was the following week. And that kicked off and I think led up to the following pay-per-view the month after. We get another interview segment, and this time it's Conan and Ron Killings, who are basically saying, BG James, who we all know as Road Dogg, make up your mind about joining us in the 3 Live crew. Obviously, lots of development going here because who is their opponent, 3 Live crew's opponent? Kip James. Oh, no, it's not. It's a Kip Stop. Yeah, no, it is Kip James. I was right. Kip James was Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. Yeah. Lots of intertwining emotions going on there. We don't hear anything from BG James until later on. We get another tag match, Sonny Tayaki and Apollo versus Simon Diamond and not Triton, which we spoke about him last week. It's David Young, who was the jobber from 2 weeks ago that just got the piss taken out of him on commentary.
I think this might be our new favourite tag team, right? Because we made fun of David Young, we made fun of Simon Diamond.
Yeah, they're the boys. They're the underdog boys, but they don't win. Sonny Tayaki and Apollo pick up the victory. And it's a tag team match. It's like one of those matches where it shouldn't be on the card because it just doesn't really mean anything. But because Sonny Tayaki and Apollo at this point are quite a big tag team, they're quite popular. It's on there, and it's like a nice big victory for the both of them.
You know, I was thinking about this. I think because they have these weekly shows that are 45 minutes, so obviously they've got to get the main stars and the main storylines over. So then when it comes to the pay-per-view, like half the card is done and then the other half is just random matches like thrown together. Yeah,
that sounds about right. The match following this is one of the big hype matches we do have for the show. It is Samoa Joe versus Chris Saban. And oh my God, this match was incredible.
Yeah, what a match.
Oh my God, it's just so good. Samoa Joe is so good. Christopher Saban is so good. And the finish of this match is beautiful. Saban's on the top rope. Samoa Joe just kicks his legs from underneath him, hits him with a muscle buster, chokes him out for the win.
Yeah, this is like the most offense we've seen Samoa Joe take at this point. And what was really cool is that Joe comes out of this looking absolutely unstoppable, but by no means a squash match. Like Sabin really took it to Joe. It was really, really exciting match. I think this was the best match on the cards, or definitely the best match on the card this far. And actually, I'd say probably match of the night. You know, Dave Meltzer gave this match 4.25 stars.
Did he?
Yeah, like considering this was back when, like, this was back in the day before your 7 stars and whatnot. Like, a 5-star match was a big deal. So, like, this match got 4.25 stars.
That's crazy. I mean, looking at the two of them now, what they've managed to do with their careers, you're not surprised. Absolutely not surprised. We get another backstage interview. This time it is the opponents of Team Canada. It's Lance Hoyt and the Naturals, obviously along with Jimmy Hart, basically just rebuttaling what is said by Team Canada to them. we do jump into the ring, and it is that 6-man tag team match, the Naturals and Lance Hoyt going up against Eric Young, Bobby Roode, and A1 of Team Canada. And Team Canada get the win. I didn't think they would.
Yeah, well, I guess the Naturals and Hoyt, they got the win when this match was on Impact 2 weeks ago, or like a week and a half ago it would have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this match, like the other match was pretty decent. I thought this match was a lot better. It's almost like they got an extra 10 minutes in the ring, and that really worked wonders.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm not liking about this current storyline is the tag team champions aren't defending the titles. They're obviously embroidered into a different feud. It's a little bit like it'd be nice to see the tag titles being defended, but you're obviously not going to see every title defended on every show every time. But
yeah, because I guess they're going against Team Canada, so like they are a tag team.
I assume at some point we'll get Team Canada versus the Naturals for the tag titles somewhere down the line. We go backstage, and it's another backstage interview. This time it is Monty Brown and the Outlaw. The Outlaw is now known as Kip James. He's fully changed his name in this show, and they are just speaking about their opponents that they'll be facing imminently. And it is back into the ring for Monty Brown and Kip James versus Ron Killings and Conan. Midway through the match, BG James does come out onto the ring, not ring, what's the entrance ramp, that's what I'm after, and sits and watches this match. Obviously, later on, after the win for Monty Brown and Kip James, Kip offers his brother into the ring and gives him a chair to attack Ron Killings. In the end, BG James actually throws the chair down and leaves. So he's not aligning with Three Live Crew, and he's not aligning with his former partner from the New Age Outlaws in a different company. So it's a little bit of a cliffhanger, and it's a good way of ending it. That this segment is a great way of ending it, because you're like, oh, now I need to tune into Impact to see who James picks or what's going to happen. And it's a great way of doing it. Yeah,
like obviously, you know the history that Billy Gunn and Road Dogg had, but then you know, this team, the 3LK, that's like proper OG TNA. That's from back when TNA first started. So yeah, you can kind of see why he's conflicted, but it almost makes you wonder why don't we just let him like in the faction with them? Like, he's clearly trying to help them out and win their matches and stuff, but it's just because Conan doesn't trust him. Like, Conan's having none of it.
Yeah,
so that's what's caused this whole feud.
Conan doesn't trust anyone. I mean, I wouldn't trust Conan either.
No, but have you listened to his podcast?
No, I haven't, and I assume it's hilarious.
Well, no, I haven't either. He just loves asking people if they have.
Oh, fair enough.
He just on Twitter just DMs random people like, "Have you listened to the podcast?"
It's a great way of marketing, I suppose. Like, have you listened to it? No, do it. We get one more. Sorry, we've got 2 more interviews. We get another interview. And it is Jerry Lynn, obviously speaking about the impending match he'll be refereeing between Waltman and Styles, and it's basically just a sort of a repeat of the promo we got from Impact. And we go into the ring, and it is AJ versus Waltman. Waltman spends a lot of the match trying to cheat in various different ways, and Lynn stops him every single time. Like, he goes for a pin, he's got his hands on the ropes, and Lynn did an Aubrey Edwards before Aubrey Edwards was a referee, and that's kick his hands away, so we can't cheat. AJ does eke out the win. Very, like, expected, I suppose, being the younger talent.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know how much longer Waltman was around after that. I think he's probably only about until the next pay-per-view, and then he kind of goes. So you can definitely see why they'd want to put AJ over him. Of course, like Jerry Lynn he is like Mr. Clean Cut, like straight down the middle. So any cheating, like, he wants nothing to do with that. Yeah, no, it's a good match, but only, like, you know, kind of complaints. Not even like a complaint, but like, this match could have stole the show and like could have been the best match, and it wasn't. Like, it was a good match, but it wasn't, you know, like a 5-star classic. So that would be my only gripe with this. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a very good match as well. We got a final interview segment backstage, and who should it be? Oh, it's Jeff Jarrett. Of course, it's Jeff Jarrett. But he confronts Larry Zbyszko about the impending arrival of the man-beast Rhino, who Jarrett has been hyping up for a while that he's going to be appearing. and this was like the final time for him to hype it up before he did actually appear. Christopher Daniels defends his X Division Championship against Petey Williams, who is actually accompanied by Scott D'Amore, who hasn't been on TV for a few weeks since Lance Hoyt took him out. He actually comes out alongside A1 to support the captain, I think Pete Williams calls himself. Petey tries to cheat and fails during this match. He wraps a chain around his hand, and then Christopher Daniels does the same thing. And whilst the referee's not paying attention, Daniels smacks him with the chain. Samoa Joe comes out midway through the match as well, stands on the ramp and watches. So that's what Rhys alluded to last week. We know what we're getting in a feud-wise with Joe and Daniels. Joe's paying attention. Joe's keeping an eye out on the X Division title. But because of that, the cheating chain shot by Daniels, he hits the BME, the best of himself ever, and retains his X Division Championship. Another really, really good match. Like, I think it's another one that could have stole the show, but it just didn't. It just didn't do enough. But it was still really, really good.
Yeah, like really good man. This was one of the, we said like about half the matches they hyped up a lot, and half of them were, like kind of thrown together. This was one they hyped, and like I think it definitely delivered. It was like a weird kind of dynamic though, because obviously Team Canada are the ultra heel stable, but then also Daniels is like a big heel. So then Petey is almost like a face by default. It's like Team Canada are a load of heels, but then Petey is like a face within the heel faction.
Yeah, he's like the de facto face at this point, because Daniels' gimmick was he's just better than everyone, so he just was so cocky about it. And obviously Pete Williams was associated with Team Canada, who obviously was the heel stable. He didn't always cheat, but I agree with you. He was obviously the de facto heel. And the fact this match was the penultimate one as well doesn't surprise me, because the X Division title was so like over in the company, because that was like their bread and butter. It's what the company was built on, was the X Division. But we do lead into the main event, obviously Raven versus Abyss in the no surrender dog collar match. Jesus Christ, this was brutal.
Oh, it definitely was, yeah. And just before we get into the match, like something before the match, the Borash doing the pay-per-view main event
so
announcing.
Good.
That always added so much to the main event pay-per-views for me. Like the
Borash announcing it, because he did it like a boxing announcement, didn't he? He always did it so well. Instead of fact he was just an interviewer.
And then another thing, like the commentators do well, is that before the big title matches, they always show up the tail of the tape as well, which is just makes those main event title matches just seem that much more special. Yeah,
no, it does. I'd love to see Borash appear on WWE TV and just do it once. It'd just be great. It'd be so good to see him announce it. But yeah, this match was brutal.
Look, TNA one night stand, cowards.
This match, was horrifically brutal, as you'd expect from Raven and Abyss, who are good wrestlers, but they are hardcore wrestlers at heart. I feel like they both might have needed ice packs for the back of their necks, because the amount of times they probably would have got yanked by their chain was a lot. There was one point where Abyss went through the table off the stage, and then he just pulls the chain down, and you just see Raven disappear and go through another table.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, I must have missed what happened. I was like, why did Raven just jump through a table? And then I saw the replay. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Abyss probably just grabbed the chain and yanked it. There was, thumbtacks came out, tables, everything came out, and the thumbtacks were involved in the finish of the match, as Raven DDT'd Abyss on thumbtacks, which sounds horrible, but it's the way he got the win, and retained his title. Then Jarrett comes out, confronts Raven. Raven turns around. Gore Rhino has officially appeared in Impact, goring the World Heavyweight Champion. And at this point, he was just the lackey for Jarrett. He was just Jarrett, heavy. And then to celebrate post-match after taking out Raven.
Yeah, big swerve at this point, because obviously the whole pay-per-view had just been Jarrett scaremongering everyone about Rhino. And then it turns out him and Rhino were on the same team all along. Like, another cool moment in this match, I thought, was when Cassidy Riley came out and tried to help Raven, and then just immediately got chokeslammed through a table.
That is just, it's like the Dean Ambrose and
Oh, what, Ellsworth?
Ellsworth angle. He was trying to always help and just got battered. And Cassidy was just always trying to be there and like, oh, Raven, I'll give you a hat. No, okay, no, you're going to cruise table. All in all, for like 2005 TNA, who are doing shows on webcast and that sort of thing, this pay-per-view was so good. It probably wasn't thought about it as good as it actually was in 2005. Look back on it now, my God, the action was brilliant. Like, it was just so much, because obviously we were able to look back at it and know what each of these wrestlers have gone and done in their careers and the titles that they've won. But it's for the time as well, for the stages of their career that they were in, was just fantastic. Joe and Sabin, I agree with you, Rhys. I think was the best show of the night, best match of the night. Sorry. And when you think about it, it was Joe just arriving in Impact. It was Sabin pre Motor City Machine Gun, so he wasn't really as popular as he was in that tag team. He was an X Division single star, but just the whole show was so good. What would you grade the show as a whole?
Oh, I'm going to give this a B+.
I'd agree with you. I'd agree with B+. It wasn't perfect, but it was nearly there.
It was very good. Like, definitely a fun way to spend a couple of hours watching. Like, definitely, felt like something I'd enjoyed. It didn't feel like a chore. Like, sometimes we have to watch wrestling and it's like, oh, do we have to just so we can record one of these? But then this, like, I actually really enjoyed it. And, like, in a couple of years' time, I wouldn't mind going back and watching it again,
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're able to do this sort of thing because of the wonderful streaming service Impact Plus, obviously brought to you and us by our friends at Impact Wrestling. And thank you very much for allowing us to use your platform to record these podcasts and watch great shows and great underrated shows like No Surrender 2005. But that is the end of the podcast, and for the time being, the end of Rhys on the podcast, as I will have a new host next week, and I believe it will be Tom will be joining me next week, because originally it was actually meant to be me and Tom, and then it never got picked up, and Rhys took it and ran with it. And
well, yeah, it's been a lot. Like, obviously, this era of TNA was fantastic, and this was just before I started watching as well. So it's been a lot of fun to go back and watch. It's almost like the what do you call it? Like the prequel, like setting the scene before when I got into watching it. So I really enjoyed it. Best of luck with the show, George, going forward. And I'd love to come back on at some point.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on at some point after the couple of guests I've got lined up. We get them sorted out and done. But yeah, I hope you have I hope you guys have all enjoyed listening to mine and Rhys's analysis and review of No Surrender 2005. Let us know what you think in the comments on our YouTube video. Obviously, this will go up on YouTube. Go down there into the comments. Let us know what you thought of this show. Tweet us at TWMWrestle to let us know what you thought. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TWMWrestle. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/TWMWrestle. And also, whilst you're leaving comments on our YouTube videos, give us a subscribe at The Wrestling Movement. We are on YouTube. Head over to our website, twm.news, to read articles, listen to podcasts and that sort of stuff, and get results and everything like that, because we are back with a bang after a couple of weeks in a lull period. Also, head over to Twitter whilst you're following us. Follow We Love Sport UK and 1310 Apparel. Head over to the websites 1310apparel.bigcartel.com. Get yourself some merch, 25% off using TWM25, and We Love Sport UK on the app stores. So you can download the apps and see where wrestling is being shown. Now pubs are open. Wait until next week. I shall see you next week. Rhys will see you very soon. Rhys, what is your Twitter?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Rhys on Wrestling. And that's the same on Twitch as well, if you want to head over there.
Follow him on Twitch. He does some funny things. He does some good things. And follow me on Twitter at George_Jill_. Until next time, guys, I shall see you next week. Bye.